Hello, everyone, and welcome to the latest in a series of webinars by digitalfirst.com for the Accounting Business Expo on March 20th and 21st at the International Convention Centre in Sydney. My name is Sholto Macpherson. I'm editor of digitalfirst.com and head of content for the Accounting Business Expo. Thank you for spending your lunch with us today. Today, we're going to talk with one of the presenters from the Accounting Business Expo on a topic that I really love. It's pretty clear that e-commerce is going to be a big part of the future. Australia is moving a little more slowly than some parts of the world. We were at 7.3% of retail sales are online in 2018. And that's growing at 6%. The leader is the UK. That's several years ahead of us in these retail trends. Already 20% of their retail is online, and it's growing at, I think, around 20% a year. It's pretty amazing. So soon your clients will be selling on Amazon, Shopify, or another platform, soon if they aren't already. Accountants will need to understand these businesses and where to get the data to do their compliance work. So how do you position your firm to benefit from this coming boom in e-commerce? Luckily, we have a guru in e-commerce accounting with us today. Scott Scharf is a head geek at Catching Clouds, an accounting firm focused exclusively on e-commerce. Scott is speaking at the Accounting Business Expo on this topic on Thursday next week. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Scott Scharf. Scott, you there? You there?
Thank you very much. I'm happy to be here. I'm looking forward to presenting next week and going to Sydney for the first time.
Fantastic. Just there you are. Okay, great. So today you run an accounting firm. You've got 15 accountants and controllers. And I love this. When you go to the homepage, you go to the About page, each one says, I'm an e-commerce accountant, I'm an e-commerce controller. Like the message is overwhelming. On the front page, homepage says, catchingclouds.net, we speak e-commerce. The first question I have is, did you start out this way, or were you a generalist firm that decided that e-commerce was the future?
When we started in 2011, we knew we were going to focus and pick a niche. We already knew industries we did not like. And it turns out what?
Which industries were they?
Restaurant, nonprofit.
Right.
There were a few that we knew we weren't going to do. And it turns out our first paying customer in January of 2012 was an Amazon seller. And we picked up a few other clients to pay the bills because, we had no other income at the time. And we picked up a few. We picked up a local chamber of commerce, but then we got another e-commerce seller. Then I got another e-commerce seller, and then we changed our whole vision. So that lasted maybe 12 months that we really did anything. And then it took us another year or so to fire all the non-e-commerce clients. But we knew we were going to pick a niche and then stick to it.
You fired your non-e-commerce accountants? I can't believe you did that.
Clients,
all that precious revenue.
We did, and it was tough. And we actually did some of it before it was enough to, cover all the revenue for the bills. So my co-founder's my wife. So all of our income, covers, what we need to live on. And so it was. Now, we did give the Chamber of Commerce 18 months. We gave them 18 months notice. We said, we really like you. It's great having our local Chamber of Commerce, but we're eventually going to let you go. So we gave them plenty of time. So that was the longest one that stuck around.
Out of interest, was this a joint decision that you both made, or was there some tension about making that decision?
No, actually, there are a lot of decisions, and the fact that Patty's my wife, means that there's other nuances in our discussion, but our skills kind of balance. But I'm kind of the talker, outgoing guy, techie, and she's the practical accountant, CPA. And when we looked at it, we knew, and as soon as we made that shift, the big thing is, so one, the decision together, we knew a focus. I was more excited about e-commerce at the time than she was. So for her, it was just accounting, and that was cool. But there weren't any industries that she's like, I'm so passionate about it, I have to do accounting in this space. So I kind of came default e-commerce, but because it has because the reason we're talking about it now, we got started years ago, but it's going to last forever. It's going on off into the future. And so it's both long-term, it's complex. Where there's mystery, there's margin, okay? Both for the accountants as well as others. And so we kind of got to that point where, this was a good fit. And then as soon as we did, and we started rebuilding the website and then looking at the tools we were going to use, it narrowed all of that down. It laser focused everything that we do.
And what's your role in the business? Because you mentioned just now that you're an accountant. You're not an accountant, but you're a techie. So what skills do you have? What role do you play in the business?
So other than the co-founder, so I'm very much in the hat of being a cloud accounting practice owner. So, very much looking at the technology and the practices and the tools and what are the workflow? How can we optimize things? How do we run our practice where all of our team works from home and be secure? So I bring my IT security background, practice management. The job I had in my last job before starting Catching Clouds, I was a global subject matter expert for a global multinational. I was a senior product manager doing all the integrations between, between British Telecom and Microsoft, as well as speaking about communication technology. So I've always been in that consulting practice lead piece forever. Patty brought the outsourced managed controller work as well as tax prep, which we don't do. And so those skills kind of came together because we asked, what do businesses do when they don't have accounting and finance or technology skills? So I bring the technology piece into it, the consulting and project-based approach. But my day-to-day job now is, other than supporting the practice and looking at how to automate, implement other automation in the practice, is talking to sellers, working on partner relationships, speaking, and then developing our own internal SaaS applications and looking at the future of cloud accounting and e-commerce and everything else.
Okay, wow, there's a lot there. So just to back up a bit, you mentioned you don't do tax returns, is that right?
Correct. We don't do any we don't do any federal and state income tax returns in the US, but we do sales tax, state sales tax, which is very complicated in the US for e-commerce sellers.
Okay, so what other services do you provide then?
So we really only have one service, and that's our outsourced accounting department, where we provide an e-commerce accountant to do the daily, weekly, monthly accounting. And then our controller, who's there to oversee the books, is responsible for the quality of the books, the balance sheet, the P&L, and then communicating to the client exactly what's going on in their business. Okay, and going to the level of detail we go inside their books. And so we're all about the daily, weekly, monthly accounting, trying to get as much of this very detailed, voluminous data from e-commerce as close to daily as possible, so our clients can make great decisions.
So it's e-commerce bookkeeping, right? That's probably the analogy with that.
Correct. It's the bookkeeping as well as the controller. So right up to the point of a virtual CFO. So we're all about today and looking forward about 6 or 8 weeks to let our clients know that all of their data is solid, as accurate as possible. And then if they want to look multi-months, multi-years out, look for capital or that longer term advisory, that's something you go with a virtual CFO, but we'll change that all next year. When we'll do full advisory is what Patty and I are focused on now, is building that full advisory for the next level. I do a lot of kind of technology consulting and general consulting for our clients now as to what tools they should implement, the steps to go in if they expand internationally, and how to structure their business and their operations. So we're doing a lot of very technical advisory from my technical background, but we're now going to take our whole team, specifically our controllers who are CPAs, and move them into more of that advisory. I'm already doing some of it, but we're going to expand it and make it a core part of our business, because the accounting and bookkeeping is going to start automating more and more over time.
So advisory means so many things to different people. You're talking about technology advisory and helping clients pick apps, or are you talking about growth advisory or like financial advisory, forecasting, or what's advisory?
Forecasting, KPIs, capital, really business and finance advisory is where we're going to go into. We're doing a light amount of that. There's kind of a blurry line between what a controller would do, because most accountants, at least in the US, tend to have one practice owner as a CPA if they're not doing taxes, and then everybody else is literally a bookkeeper. And there's very little kind of oversight in the higher level. So we've always been providing financial guidance for our customers. We're just going to extend that out into the future and do more business and finance advisory. I will continue to provide app advisory direction, not implementation, but very much helping them understand how to optimize their business, get them connected with the right either implementers for apps, whether it's cloud inventory or push them to spend enough money on a custom development or other solutions to optimize and get their business to the next level from a technology perspective. But that's kind of stuck to me because of my 30 years as an IT geek.
Okay, so you've got tech stack advisory or app advisory, and you've got like the financial advisory around cash flow KPI forecasting.
Correct.
And okay, and what about going another step further and going to say, I don't know, we're calling this data advisory, but say using like a database to mix their sales against Google Analytics data to the website or that kind of next level stuff. Have you looked at doing any of that? Is that?
Yeah, no, we started over a year ago. So we're building our own solution to aggregate all that data, and we'll be able to overlay all the analytics and integrate these different systems. It'll be able to automate some of our accounting, but provide us that additional layer of analytics, because some of it's in Amazon, some of it's in Shopify, some of it's in their cloud inventory, some of it's in Google. So we know where all that is, and that's exactly what I'm working on. Have been for over a year and will be for the next couple of years. Probably 2020 before I make anything really public that we're not just delivering to our own clients.
Fantastic. A little secret backyard software development going on.
Yep.
And just for people on the call, can you explain how the accounting work that you're doing or bookkeeping work that you're doing for an e-commerce client, how does that vary? You mentioned restaurants you would never do and not-for-profits. How is there a level of difficulty in reconciling data, like this voluminous data, that's different to like a restaurant?
Yeah. So, well, I don't know. I want to talk about restaurant other than having to count cash and deal with turnover of staff and other craziness that we wanted to have nothing to do with.
Right.
For e-commerce, the idea is one, where is all the data? Okay. The fact that we have all of our clients, and there's a variety of ways they sell: B2B, direct, Shopify. They might have Shopify with one merchant processor or 3 merchant processors. And then it's the basics. It's posting income. Where is all the data to post income properly, where you're not just recording the net amount? You want to get the gross amount with discounts and returns and sales tax and any shipping, and break those details out so you know what's going on at a detailed level. It's knowing where all the order data is and the cost data is to be able to calculate cost of goods sold properly, and to be able to validate that independent of the cloud inventory tools and get accurate inventory accounts so that the balance sheet is accurate and that you know where all those things are. So there's a lot of different pieces to it. The big thing that we do is we post summary, useful information. Unless it's a direct B2B manual order to a large sale, we won't post anything as an individual invoice. So some of our clients do sell large orders directly to customers, and we'll post and create a direct individual invoice. Everything else, for Amazon, we post an invoice every 2 weeks through A2X. That's a summary of all the income. Shopify, we post weekly, and we post the income by merchant provider, and then we reconcile the merchant account weekly. So we know if they sold 100 widgets, they were paid for 100 widgets. And so we have a general rhythm to catch that data. We don't let any cloud inventory tools connect to zero because they push too much information and the wrong information.
Interesting. Wow. Okay. So, and which I'm been doing some research on cloud inventory tools at the moment. What are your top picks?
For cloud inventory?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I've got a short top 5, one of which is Sin7.
Yeah.
We've got quite a few clients on Skubana. People that have a love and hate relationship with Skubana. They're all awful. They all have gaps when it comes to an accounting and getting to accurate financial information. We have a number of clients on Deer. We have a number of clients on Ecom Dash. Is a good lower end, low cost solution. We have clients on over 10 different cloud inventory tools. And I always take the approach of helping the clients. And when I advise other accountants, take an accounting, critical thinking approach, throw it in a spreadsheet, put the top features and compare, and help a business owner not make an emotional decision and look at the features, add them up, rank them, and make the right decision and go in with your eyes open. And so I guide people to the top 2 or 3 that's best for their business. If they're doing drop ship, if they need a quote order invoice, if they're doing EDI or point of sale or whatever else, it's to narrow it down because there are so many choices to say, these are the few you want to look at.
So it sounds like you need to have a fairly well-developed technology competency to be able to do e-commerce accounting. Do you think then that this is something for all firms? Because retail is massive.
Mm-hmm.
Should generalist firms have an e-commerce expert, given that it's likely to be, already in the UK, it's was it like a fifth of sales and growing quickly?
Mm-hmm.
Assume it'll be similar in the US, and Australia will gradually catch up to that. Is this a role for a generalist firm to have?
I think it's going to be tough. I mean, they either have to dedicate not just an individual, but a small team,
Okay.
and commit the time and resources to be able to focus and learn and pay attention. Just reading the news of what Amazon's doing every day takes up time. Just Amazon's making changes to their structure and business and paying attention to the things that impact your clients. Just that alone. Then there's the technology. Now, the nice thing is, once you know where the data is, the accounting's the accounting. It's the biggest problem is finding the data and managing the volume of data. But once you've done that, you're posting income. Okay. You're dealing with, balance sheet items, posting inventory, and following cost of goods sold the way cost of goods sold is handled in accounting. None of that's changed. It's like I always tell our customers. So, but you just have to be careful. Like, just if you're like, hey, I've got a bunch of clients and one of my clients is selling on Shopify now or Amazon. Yeah, you want to take care of that current client, but you want to figure out where that line is. At what point do you build a practice around it and focus in to do it as well as possible and provide that client as much value as possible? Or do you partner with another firm, or do you let that client go and focus on whatever your other niche is, or specialization if you have multiple? I'm very picky about that. If it's a niche, it's one thing. If you have 3 or 4, it's different specializations.
Right. Okay.
And so I'm very picky about that. And it's tough. I know it's tough, and it's tough for accountants to say no and turn away revenue and everything else. But as soon as you do, it opens up space to focus more and focus in on that niche. But you can definitely ease your way into it, but you can't just do it off on the side and spend a few minutes every month or quarter going, well, what's new in e-commerce? You'll never catch up.
I mean, just 10 cloud inventory platforms, keeping up with that alone.
Oh yeah.
Huge overhead. So, what are the benefits? I mean, you mentioned that to create space. What has it done for you by after 12 months in saying, no, we're going to put everything in e-commerce, we're firing in on e-commerce clients? What are the benefits been?
So there have been a number, and ones maybe are a little counterintuitive, but I mean, the first was it narrowed down our focus for all our marketing. Okay. It says one thing, we're not vague at all. We're able to say, here's where we stand, here's what we do. It allows us to say no, which we're big on, to all the things we don't do. So not only do we not take on anybody that's not e-commerce, we don't take anybody that's not selling a physical widget. So we don't have to worry about digital e-commerce. Great. Then we only take on larger sellers, so we're not taking on startups. So the more you define that optimal client that you can deliver value to and you like working with the best, the other piece is kind of both from an SEO perspective and a general karma space. As soon as you seriously is your own mindset, you say no to all that other stuff, you can say yes to the right things. And as soon as we did, we got rid of some of those other clients, and then we brought in e-commerce clients that were consistent, that we could charge more for. That's another big thing, is when you specialize and you're an expert and you can say, look, we have X number of existing clients that we're doing this for, you can charge more. Okay. And our rates continue to go up, and we had target for growing our monthly revenue per client. And can't change existing clients. They get hooked on whatever the value you're delivering. It's hard to adjust our clients unless they change their business. But that was another one that we were able to charge a lot more. And then it narrows down the tools. You only have to pick a few key tools. I have 10 different cloud inventory tools because we're dealing with more complex omni-channel. They're selling on 3 to 5 or more channels. And so there's a little more complexity, and we've accepted that part of it. But everything else is consistent. You know, we're Xero only, A2X only, Gusto for payroll. We have one sales tax tool. And so we can focus on the relationships and getting the most out of those tools. And we're not distracted by a bunch of other stuff. And then we just adapt. Then we're able to adapt to the client's flexibility. If this client's buying from China, this one's doing manufacturing, this one's doing that. So we can adapt inside that space and provide more value to those clients.
Fantastic. Scott, we're just coming right up on 20 minutes past the hour, and so we're going to leave it there. But a reminder to everyone that Scott's session is on Thursday, 21st of March at 4:25 p.m, How to Catch the Boom in E-Commerce Accounting. And a reminder, his session is one of 130 sessions at seminars, roundtables, and tech talks happening across 2 days. There are over 100 suppliers selling products and services to help you and your clients do better business and make more money. Completely free to attend. If you're an accountant or bookkeeper who registers before March the 20th, it's $60 on the day. But you can get a free ticket at accountingbusiness.com.au/register today. Scott, thank you so much for your time. I'm looking forward to meeting you in the flesh on Wednesday and Thursday. So thanks again for your time. It's been great.
Thank you very much. Look forward to seeing everyone there.
All right. Have a good day, Scott. See you.
Thanks. Bye-bye.